Exposed. Written by Suzana Thompson. Narrated by Lauren Sweet. Chapter 12. It wouldn't be long before I had to deal with him again, but I hoped to be in a more rational frame of mind. Whatever madness had possessed me was wearing off, and I was feeling incredibly foolish. Veering into the first bathroom I saw after entering the building, I stopped to catch my breath and collect myself. "What's the matter? Can't keep up with him?" a female voice taunted. I looked over to see Addison sneering at me. Great. This was so not what I needed right now. Sensing that she had me at a disadvantage, she sauntered toward me. "I'm starting to believe that you were actually telling the truth about being a virgin. I bet he's giving you more than you can handle. You should have left him to someone who could take care of his demands. I bet you don't even know how to give a good blowjob." She laughed at my expression. "Oh, Ella, you won't even give him a blowjob, will you? I bet he's so fucking frustrated that he can't stand it. Serves him right," she declared with satisfaction. Her taunt shouldn't have bothered me. I didn't care if I was lacking in sexual expertise. It wasn't like I was aspiring to compete with her in that area, especially not from Mason. "I don't care if he's frustrated. I could care less about him or you. Go ahead and give him all the blowjobs you want. You two deserve each other." A sly look came into her eyes before she laughed with delight. "You're not having sex with him? Holy shit, this is even better than I thought," she exclaimed in glee. "How did you know I'm not having sex with him?" I asked in surprise. "I didn't tell you that." She smiled indulgently at me. "Besides the fact that you just confirmed it, you wouldn't have been telling me to do anything with him if you were sleeping with him. You wouldn't have been okay with that at all." My mouth opened to tell her that I hadn't said anything about being okay with it, but the thought failed to form into words. Addison bestowed another indulgent smile upon me. "Thanks for making my day, Ella," she said, and walked past me with confidence. She had somehow managed to make me feel like a kid who was completely out of her element. She had given Mason blowjobs, while I had given him karaoke in the car. I cringed at the memory, and then shrank back self-consciously as other girls came into the bathroom. Their conversation stopped as they noticed me, and I quickly left to escape their scrutiny. Looking for a place to be alone, I caught sight of the doors to the auditorium. I slipped inside and felt a measure of relief as the door closed behind me and shut out the sounds of people talking in the hallway. I moved further into the room and soaked up the silence before my ringtone shattered it. Seeing that it was Mason, I hit ignore, but he immediately called me again. "What?" I snapped.
"What's wrong?"
he asked.
"Why'd you take off like that? Did Tyler do something? Did he mess with you?"
he demanded, starting to sound angry. "No," I replied. "It has nothing to do with him."
"Are you sure?" he pressed. "Because you were fine until he showed up. You were happy one minute, and the next you were running away like someone was chasing you. What happened?"
That was the crux of the problem. I had been happy. "Nothing," I said. "Just leave me alone."
"Damn it, Ella. Talk to me. Where are you? I want to talk to you in person."
"What for?" I retorted. "You're wasting your time, Mason. I'm not going to give you sex or blowjobs, so—"
"Who said anything about blowjobs?"
he cut in. I fell silent. Shit. Why had I said that?
"Ella, who said anything about blowjobs?"
he demanded. Never mind," I responded nervously. I'm just going to hang up now, okay?" Not sure why I was asking permission, I nevertheless winced when I ended the call after he said no. Completely flustered now, I paced around as I tried to calm down and let the silence soothe me. After several minutes, I was even more agitated than I had been after hanging up with Mason. Thinking about our conversation had me berating myself for even answering his call, let alone for blurting out such a thing. What the hell was wrong with me lately? Why did Mason make me lose all my common sense? With a sigh, I started trudging toward the doors just as he burst through them. Both of us halted at the sight of each other, but his gaze swept around the room before returning to me.
"What are you doing in here?"
He demanded. "Trying to be by myself," I retorted in exasperation. "But nobody will leave me alone. First Addison bothered me in the bathroom, then you kept calling me, and now you're here."
"So you were here alone?"
he questioned. "I was," I stressed, "until you showed up. I guess I'll have to go to class to get away from you."
"I knew Alicia was lying,"
he said.
"She said that she saw you come in here with a guy."
I rolled my eyes. "She still thinks I'm a prostitute, thanks to your lovely rumors," I added.
"I told her that wasn't true,"
he reminded me defensively.
"You heard me say it."
"Yeah, and I don't care what she thinks anyway," I said as I started to walk past him.
"Why do you bring up blowjobs?"
I hurried toward the door without answering, but I stopped in my tracks when he sharply called out my name. I could feel my face heating up as he came up behind me and moved to stand in front of me again. I was too embarrassed to look at him, but he placed his hand beneath my chin to lift my downcast gaze.
"Ella,"
he said in a much gentler tone.
"Talk to me."
He let go of my chin and took a step back to give me space as he gazed at me with an open, encouraging expression, and I found myself telling him about Addison confronting me in the bathroom. "She's the one who brought them up. She said that's what you want, so if you want to get back with her..." My gaze slid away from his as I trailed off awkwardly. I shifted my weight to one side and fidgeted with my hands, feeling unaccountably nervous as I awaited his answer.
"Ella,"
he said smoothly, drawing my attention back to him.
"Ask me what I want."
I stared at him as my heart began to pound with trepidation. Did he really expect me to ask him if he wanted a blowjob? Did he think that he could demand that from me? His gaze intensified.
"Ask me what I want,"
he commanded with deliberate slowness to assert his implacable demand. My voice shook with nervousness as I obeyed. "What do you want?"
"You,"
he answered.
"I want you, Ella."
My breath hitched. "I'm not having sex with you."
"Did I ask you to?"
he inquired. I faltered at his smooth question. Isn't that what you just said?"
"I said I wanted you,"
he stated.
"I didn't say anything about sex."
I began in confusion.
"I want you to be my girlfriend,"
he clarified.
"I told you that I can wait for sex."
His declaration lifted my spirits, but I tamped down on the feeling as I reminded myself that he was just saying that to win me over and get me to drop my guard so that he could trick me into sleeping with him. "What if I never have sex with you?" I challenged. His confident amusement should have pissed me off, but it elicited an excited fluttering in my stomach as he spoke.
"I don't think that will be a problem."
He stepped as close as he could without touching me, and my body started to anticipate the contact he was withholding. I was incredibly aware of the tantalizingly slight space between us. His mouth was just shy of my ear, and his voice heightened the sensation of teasing proximity.
"Never is a long time, Ella, and I am very patient."
How he had made that sound so sexy was beyond me, but it sent a hot rush of excitement through me. My body thrummed with an electric pulse of possibilities that gave me a high I had never experienced before. It felt like a current was running between us and charging me up with this exhilarating feeling that I could barely contain. He pulled back to look at me before slowly leaning in to kiss me. I closed my eyes as I rode that high of anticipation and excitement. His breath ghosted over my lips, and they tingled in response.
Very patient,
He murmured, sending more heat rushing through my body like a wildfire. My breathing became labored with the acute wait for him to kiss me, and I felt an electric spark when he took hold of my hand. My eyes opened to see that he was no longer standing in front of me, but was beside me instead.
We should get to class,
He said. His smirk conveyed his smug knowledge that he had left me craving the kiss he had made me think I was about to get. The denial of it didn't douse the thrilling effect he was having on me, though. I was still flying high on feeling so incredibly alive, and I directed a spontaneous smile of happiness at him. He responded with a brilliant smile of his own and gave my hand a happy little squeeze. We walked out of the auditorium together, holding hands like a couple who had that kind of connection. I glided through the halls with him without faltering until I saw Josh watching us. Guilty panic swept through me, and my eyes darted toward Mason to see if he suspected anything. He smiled warmly at me, and I gave him a weak smile in return. He immediately noticed that something was off with me.
What's wrong?
Nothing, I replied, trying to quell my overwhelming nervousness. I forced a bigger smile. He viewed it in concern and pulled me aside to stop and talk to me out of the flow of students.
What's going on, Ella? Why'd you run off earlier? And why are you upset now?
I'm not upset, I denied, as I struggled not to look back and see if Josh was still watching us. I felt like a glance in his direction would give me away and reveal to Mason that I had cheated on him.
You are,
he insisted.
Tell me why.
Panic seized me for a second until I realized he was referring to me being upset and not to me cheating on him. I reacted by going on the offensive. Gee, I don't know, Mason. Maybe it's because I don't know how you're going to act from one minute to the next. First you hate me, then you like me. You tell people I'm a hooker, but now you say I'm your girlfriend. You act like you're going to kiss me, but then you don't. He moved so fast that he had me pressed back against the wall before I knew what was happening.
You made that rule,
he retorted harshly, the patience he claimed to have seemingly on the verge of snapping.
Did you change your mind?
I could see that it would only take one word from me for his mouth to come crashing down on mine. I wanted him to unleash that wild side of him and kiss me with all the passionate intensity I could sense he was barely holding back. But my pride kept me from admitting it. No, I said. He eased back a bit and put a little space between our bodies, and I immediately missed the contact.
Then why are you complaining that I didn't kiss you?
He asked. I'm not, I denied, although I really had been. I was feeling contrarily resentful toward him for respecting my rules and putting me in the situation of having to ask him to kiss me.
Then what are you complaining about?
He challenged. I expelled an exasperated breath. About you always changing your mind and playing games with me.
I'm not always changing my mind,
he refuted.
I didn't change my mind about you until I found out that I was wrong. My feelings for you haven't changed since then, and I'm not playing any games with you. I like you. I want you to be my girlfriend, and I want to kiss you.
His gaze was so intent as he spoke that it completely disconcerted me. I was suddenly looking anywhere but at him, which wasn't easy, since he was standing right in front of me.
Ella,
he said, compelling my attention back to him.
Do you want to be my girlfriend?
My heart practically burst out of my chest with happiness. Everything else was forgotten as my girlhood dream came true. I rapidly surpassed the exhilarating high from before and rose to ecstatic heights of pure joy. "Yes!" I exclaimed as I left any semblance of rational thinking far behind me. His response was as spontaneous as mine as he beamed at me and threw his arms around me in a joyful hug. The bell rang just then, and he gave me a quick peck on the lips before stepping back and taking hold of my hand to walk me to class. I remained in that blissful, dreamlike state until I saw Addison smirking at me as we passed by her in the hallway. Then it all came back to me, and I felt a pang in my chest as I remembered that Mason had sex with her. He had been with her and touched her, and they had set me up together. And here I was agreeing to be his girlfriend because he had finally asked me like I had always dreamed he would. It had felt so wonderful that I was reluctant to let go of it even now, but I forced myself to pull my hand away from his. "I have to go to the bathroom," I lied, in answer to his questioning look. "You go on to class."
I can wait for you.
He offered. "No, you go," I urged. "I'll see you there."
Okay.
He agreed and gave me another one of those warm, happy smiles that I wanted to bask in forever. My heart contracted as I turned away and walked across the hall into the girls' bathroom. Thankfully, it was empty due to the prompting of the warning bell, and I slumped against the wall without having to hide my misery. My life had been perfect for a moment until I came crashing back down into reality. Mason had done this to me. It was always Mason ruining everything, and I needed to get over it and move on. This time was different, though, because I had my friends, and I had Josh. For a minute there, I actually thought that I had Mason. How delusional could I be? Of course he was just pretending to like me so he could have sex with me. Once he got what he wanted, he would drop me like he dropped Addison. And she had been able to keep up with his demands for a year. Since I wouldn't do half the stuff she did for him, he would tire of me much faster. Not that I was planning to do anything with him at all, I assured myself. Just because I had let him kiss me didn't mean that I was going to let him do anything else. He had gotten the wrong idea from my sex poem. That was just a fantasy, and I had no intention of acting it out in real life. He was going to be very disappointed if he thought that he was going to seduce me with this approach. Forcing me to be his girlfriend hadn't worked, so now he was trying asking me instead. And he had almost fooled me. Okay, he had fooled me, but only momentarily. I had come back to my senses, and I wouldn't let him get the best of me again. From now on, I would be the one fooling him. With that determined thought, I texted Josh and told him where to meet me. I wasn't sure if he would take the chance, but he rushed in right before the bell rang to indicate the start of class. I approached him as he looked around anxiously. "We're alone," I said, pitching my voice into a seductive tone.
This is crazy,
he protested, even as his dark brown eyes fixed on me with a heated stare. "I know," I agreed, but I couldn't wait. I was speaking the truth, but not in the way I made it sound. I didn't want to see Mason again before I broke his hold on me. I was worried that I would fall right back under his spell as soon as I saw him, so I needed to have someone else on my mind to prevent that from happening. This was extreme, but that's why I thought it would work. The recklessness of the situation and the threat of getting caught made this kiss with Josh much hotter than our previous one. We were both flushed when I pulled away from him. "We better get back," I said.
Can I see you tonight?
He asked. His eyes promised more hot kisses, and I wanted to keep this momentum going and push all thoughts of Mason out of my mind. I had been imagining him walking in on us while Josh was kissing me, so I hadn't yet succeeded in banishing him from my thoughts. Yes, I replied. I'll let you know when. He smiled in satisfaction, and I noticed how different it was from the bright, warm smile Mason had beamed at me when I agreed to be his girlfriend. Guilt dimmed the brief smile I mustered for Josh before leaving the restroom. I wasn't really Mason's girlfriend, I told myself. That had just been a moment of temporary insanity, and he was just playing me anyway. None of this was real, so I wasn't really cheating on him. My stomach was tied up in knots by the time I entered the classroom, though, and I almost hoped that the teacher would send me to the office for being late again. She just scolded me and told me to take my seat, so I avoided Mason's gaze as I walked with my head lowered and sat down. I could still feel his eyes on me as the rest of the class mercifully lost interest in me. "Hey," he said. I was worried that he would call out louder if I ignored him, so I reluctantly turned my head to look at him. The concern in his eyes was unexpected and made me feel worse than I already did. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Upset stomach," I replied, and added an unnecessary nervous gesture toward my belly before looking back down at my desk. "Ella and Mason," the teacher snapped at us. "What is so important that you have to interrupt class? Again," she added, glaring at me.
"Ella doesn't feel well,"
Mason told her to my mortification.
"That's why she was late. She might need to go to the nurse."
The teacher's expression softened. "Are you all right, Ella? Do you need a pass to go see the nurse?" I didn't, but I wanted to escape their unwarranted concern for me. I could feel my face getting hotter with the guilty knowledge of the real reason I had been late to class. I was supposed to be feeling great about my secret rendezvous and finally taking something that had been denied to me, but I felt like I had done something wrong. "Yes, please," I replied to the teacher. She started writing out a pass, and I stood to walk up to her desk. I froze when Mason volunteered to walk me down to the nurse.
"She looks like she's running a fever, and she could pass out."
The teacher glanced from him to me suspiciously. "Is this a ploy to cut class and make out?" I was now utterly mortified, but Mason spoke angrily over the laughter of our classmates.
"Can't you see that she's sick? Ella has never cut class in her life. She has a perfect record, so give her some damn respect."
I gasped in horror over how he was talking to the teacher. "I'm sorry," I apologized for him. "I just don't feel well." I moved meekly toward her. "If I could just get the pass for the nurse." She handed it to me, but her gaze went past me and hardened as it fixed on a point behind me. "Go with her, but come right back." "No," I protested. "He doesn't need to go." They both ignored my objection, however, and Mason followed me out of the classroom. When he took hold of my hand, it felt comforting, despite my turmoil.
"Can you make it?"
he asked.
"Do you need to lean against me?"
"I'm fine," I answered. "It's just my stomach. I'm not lightheaded or anything. You didn't need to come with me."
"I wanted to make sure you were okay,"
he insisted.
"I would have waited for you to get out of the bathroom if I knew you were sick."
I thought about what I had really been doing in the bathroom, and I felt like such a fraud for pretending to be sick. It was all Mason's fault for putting me in this situation by telling the teacher that I needed to go to the nurse when I had just wanted to sit in class and be left alone. He could never just leave me in peace. I lashed out at him in my resentment. "Would you have cared if I was sick when you hated me? What would you have done if you saw me pass out in the hallway?" He looked at me with a troubled expression.
"I would have gotten you help."
"Sure," I scoffed. "What you really would have done is laughed about it with your friends, so I don't need you to help me now, either." I pulled my hand free of his grasp.
"Okay, maybe I would have laughed about it,"
he admitted.
"After I found out that you were okay. I would have gotten you help first, because I'm not a damn psychopath."
He finished, in an angry and offended tone. Both of us were silent and tense after that, and Mason left without another word as soon as he escorted me to the nurse's office. Getting rid of him didn't brighten my mood, and I didn't feel any better after the nurse let me lie down for a while. What did instantly lift my spirits was seeing Mason waiting for me in the hallway with a Mylar smiley face balloon. "Where did you get that?" I exclaimed.
I went to the store,
He replied as he gave it to me.
I also got you this to settle your stomach.
He handed me the plastic bag he was holding, and I peered inside and saw a bottle of ginger ale and a couple of packs of crackers. "You left school?" I asked in dismay.
Yeah, I just drove to the store real quick.
"I can't believe you did this," I gushed. "That was so thoughtful." He shrugged, but he looked pleased with my praise.
I wanted to make you feel better.
"That is so sweet." I was filled with warm, fuzzy feelings as I smiled at him.
How are you feeling?
He asked. "Better," I replied, with a twinge of guilt over my non-existent illness.
So you're staying at school?
He questioned. "Oh, yeah, of course. I wasn't sick enough to go home, and I'm fine now." He responded with a beautiful smile.
Good. I'm glad you're better, and that I get to see you all day. I want to take you on a date after school if you're up to it.
"Again? We just went on a date the other day."
It wasn't really a date since I forced you to go on it. This time I'm asking you out. I wanted to take you out this weekend, but I know you'll be busy. So, will you go out with me today, Ella?
Giddiness surged up in me at being asked out on a date by him. "Yes," I responded with enthusiasm.
Great. I'll walk you to your next class. This one's almost over.
Realization brought dismay. "Oh no, you were supposed to go right back. Now you'll be in trouble because of me."
It'll be worth it,
he said.
I had to try to make you feel better.
I smiled warmly at him for his caring and sweetness. He was such a wonderful boyfriend. It hit me then, right before the bell rang. I stood still as a statue as students started filing out of the classrooms. Mason glanced at them.
Time to go,
he noted reluctantly. "Well, that was good. I've got to give you credit for this one." My sarcastic tone alerted him to the fact that my praise was derogatory. His gaze sharpened as he assessed the expression on my face.
What are you talking about?
"All your concern," I replied derisively. "The care package was a nice touch." I lifted the bag for emphasis before dropping it on the floor. "But the balloon really clinched it. Everyone will be asking me about it, and I can tell them that my wonderful boyfriend gave it to me." I let go of it and narrowed my eyes at him. "Nice try, but you're not going to win this bet. I'm going to step up my game and beat you."
This was not about that stupid bet,
he retorted in exasperation.
I did it because I care about you.
"You care about me," I scoffed. "Right. I believe that after all the shit you did to me. You've always been a real caring guy."
I'm trying to make up for all that,
he insisted.
If you just give me a chance, I'll—
"No," I stated, interrupting him. "You didn't give me a chance, so I'm not going to give you a chance."
Then why'd you say yes when I asked you to be my girlfriend?
he queried. "I was just playing along for the bet," I lied.
No, you weren't. You said yes on instinct without thinking about it. That was your first response, because that's what you want. I don't know why you're trying to deny it now.
I didn't want to admit that he was speaking the truth, and I shook my head in denial. "It can't go like this," I blurted.
Like what?
he questioned. "Like this," I repeated. "It can't be this easy. You start acting like this, and all of a sudden we're a happy couple. It doesn't work like that."
Why not?
he demanded.
You were happy just now, Ella. I saw it. You were happy in the car with me this morning, too. So if you're happy being with me, then why can't it be that easy? Why make it complicated when it's not?
I could feel the temptation to succumb to his reasoning and just let everything else go. It would be so simple and effortless to accept what he was offering, but I couldn't let myself do that. If I disregarded his past transgressions, then he would win. I wasn't going to let that happen. He exhaled and spoke before I could form my thoughts into an answer.
Okay, I'll back off and let you have some space to adjust to things. Spend some time with your friends, and then we'll talk next week after you've had a chance to get used to everything being different.
He bent down and picked up the bag I had dropped and extended it to me.
Do you want this? It might help you feel better.
No, I replied. I'm fine.
Okay,
He said.
I guess I'll leave you alone now.
I could see his reluctance to do that, though, as he lingered there.
Will you still go on the date with me today?
That's not really you leaving me alone, I said.
Right.
He replied, sounding disappointed.
Okay, then I hope you have fun this weekend. Call me if you need anything.
Okay, I agreed, although he would be the last person I would ever think of calling for help with anything. Bye. I set myself in motion and took the reprieve he had unexpectedly given me. It would finally give me a chance to contemplate everything and figure out what I was doing.